Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. A lot of you have been requesting me to create a tutorial on how I created the winter landscape on my Instagram post. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through the process. It's super easy and so much fun to create. So let's get started. Let us start with the supplies that we will need. I'm using 100% cotton 300 GSM paper by Sennelier. These white night watercolor tubes, the exact shades that I will be using will be listed below. A flat brush to apply the water and some brown brushes. I'm using size 4, 8 and 12 here. A mixing palette, masking fluid and an old brush to apply the masking fluid, masking tape, pencil and eraser, and 2 jars of water, one for cleaning the brush and one for fresh supply of water. Let us tape down our paper using a masking tape carefully on our writing board. You can use a writing board like the one I'm using here, or you can use the back of a canvas as well. That totally depends on you. Now, I actually have a reference picture to what I'm doing, which is listed in the description box. So you can click on that link that I have provided to see the reference picture so that it's easier for you to sketch. The reference picture majorly has a tree which has a little bit of snow fallen on it. So that is exactly what I'm sketching. So I've created the ground and I'm sketching the tree. So, just roughly sketch the tree and show these long snow that has fallen at the top of the tree. So that is what I'm doing. You can, once you look at the reference picture, you'll get a clearer idea. So you can click at the link in the description box and you'll find the reference picture there. Why I'm sketching the snow here is because I'm going to mask the snow area to leave it white using a masking fluid, so that I'll create the rest of the background and everything and then create the shadows on the snow and it looks really nice and real. The other way to create the snow is to create the tree as it is and then go over to show the snow with your white gouache. So there are two methods of creating this and I really like the one with masking the snow area and then adding the shadows, so I thought I'll show you that method. Once you have your sketch ready, we are going to go ahead and mask the snow area using a masking fluid. So I'm using my old brush. It's an old spoiled brush, and make sure that you're using an old brush that you don't really use for the masking fluid, because the masking fluid is literally a brush killer. So you don't want to ruin your favorite expensive or the brushes that mean the world to you with masking fluid. So you can use an old brush and carefully go over the sketch which depicts the snow like we have sketched here, and you're just going to cover it up with the masking fluid. Once the masking fluid is dry, it's time for us to paint the sky. So using my flat brush, I'm going to layer it with some clean water and I'm going to spread it evenly on the sky portion. So you have to do a cross swatch here so that you evenly spread the water all over the sky area. I always like to start with the lightest tone of a color and then build the vibrancy. So here I'm starting off with cadmium yellow and I'm going to use left and right strokes to lay it on the sky, leaving some white spaces in between. And I'm going to fill the white spaces using golden deep, which is a nice orange color, and I'm using the same left and right strokes to fill the white space. Now here, since we're doing wet on wet technique, the water is going to do the magic for you, and all you have to do is to lay the colors together. So just add these left and right strokes and keep building up the vibrancy. I'm also adding a little bit of raw sienna here to bring out some depth in my sky. So you can see it already looks like the raw sienna are some far off clouds, and I'm making my sky look more vibrant by adding more pigments to my mixture, so which means more paint and less of water. So you can do that and build the vibrancy with each blending that you do, and since it's wet on wet, they're going to blend together. All you have to do is lay the colors. And to depict these far off clouds, I have added a mixture of raw sienna and a bit of sepia. So you can just do that and randomly dab it on your sky, and since it's wet on wet, they're just gonna blend and you don't have to do literally anything, because that is the magic of the wet on wet technique. Now over here I'll show you something else which is super cool. I'm using sepia here and I'm gonna dab it near the horizon line to depict these far off trees that you can see. They don't have a defined shape because they're really far, but you can see that they cover some area. So that's what we're gonna do. Once my sky is completely dry, I'm going to create trees that are near the horizon but a lot closer to us. That is the observer. So I'm creating these pine trees using a darker tone of sepia. Along with sepia, I'm also adding a mixture of raw sienna and sepia for the pine trees, because I'm trying to show that the sunlight that is falling behind these trees are making it appear as a lighter tone of brown for the observer. So I'm just going to use a bit of sepia and raw sienna for these pine trees. You must have noticed that the leftmost and the rightmost pine trees that I have created are larger than the one in the middle. So why I've done this is because it just gives a nice depth and it gives you an illusion that the ground is endless. Once the trees have dried, I'm going to move ahead to create the shadows of the snow. So using my flat brush, I'm going to spread some clean water all over it. And I'm going to use a mixture of Payne's grey and a bit of Cobalt blue to create the shadows. So I'm going to create these shadows right under the tree because the light is falling from behind. And I'm also leaving these white spaces in between because I'm going to add the reflection of the sky on the snow. So as you must have seen, like the snow reflects a bit of the sky, the colors of the sky, so that's why the white spaces I've left in between, and I'm going to add very lighter tone of the golden deep that we used for the sky. And you have to be very careful when you're doing that because you don't want the golden deep and the Payne's grey and the blue mixture to mix and create some green. So once your ground has dried, we're moving ahead to create the tree. So I'm using a mixture of green and Payne's grey, and I'm going to just go over the sketch that we created. So we're just going to create these branches, and you can refer to the reference picture that will give you a clearer idea of which branch goes where, and you'll be able to actually see and create along with me using the reference picture. So we're just going to be careful at the places where we've made the snow, because we're going to show the branches from below the snow. Because as you know when the snow falls, it falls on top of the branch, so you're not going to be able to see the top portion. So that is why we are painting it from below the structure of the snow that we created. So yeah, if you think the speed is a little bit fast for you, you can always decrease the speed, because I had to increase the speed to complete the video and make it shorter because it was really long if it was in real time or even 2 times faster. So you can decrease the speed according to whatever speed works for you best. So yeah, just create these branches and have fun in the process. I just wanted to add a little bit more shadows near my tree and below my tree and give it a nice higher ground to rest on. So I've added a little bit more shadows to it by using the same mixture of Payne's grey and Cobalt blue, and I've blended it out so that it looks nice and even and doesn't have any sharp edges, and just added a little bit more extra shadows so it looks really nice. And I'm adding these little shrubs or little twigs, I don't know, I just felt like adding them. These are super random, completely out of my mind. And I'm using a mixture of green, Payne's grey and sepia for this, so it's really nice and brown. Now I'm going to add these little branches that are protruding out from the left side, as you can see in the reference picture as well. And you must have seen in the reference picture that some of the branches appear as orange or lighter shade of brown, and some of them are darker. Now that has completely to do with the light that is falling through them. So where the light source is, the branches that are closer to the light source, they're going to appear as lighter shades of brown or even orange, and the ones that are away from the exact light source, it's going to appear as a darker shade of brown. So I'm using a mixture of sepia and raw sienna, and I'm just going to play around with what I see in the reference picture. So where it appears darker, I'm using a darker shade of sepia, and where it appears lighter, I'm using a mixture of raw sienna and sepia. Now, using my eraser, I'm going to carefully rub off the masking fluid. See how it already looks like snow? But this is not it. We're going to add a lot of shadows, and it looks super more realistic than it already does. So once that is done, you've completely taken off your masking fluid. To add the shadows, we're going to use the wet on wet technique. So using my brush, I'm going to add a little bit of water carefully on the snow area, as you can see the white area, and using the mixture of Payne's grey and cobalt blue that we use for the shadows of the ground as well, I am going to add it carefully around the edges. So you don't have to worry a lot over here about the light source or anything and the deflection and stuff, because our light source is behind the tree. So the snow side of the tree that is facing us does already have a lot of shadows. So yeah, you can just go around and carefully just apply the mixture of Payne's grey and cobalt blue on the snow. I'm just adding a bit of touch-ups here and there wherever I felt they were necessary, and some splatters to complete my painting. And that is it. We've reached the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video, and if you watched up till here, I love you. Your views, your comments, your recreations that you do, they all mean so much to me. So if you recreate this, don't forget to share it with me on my Instagram at the Simply Aesthetic, and I would love to see your recreations. And do like, share and subscribe to my channel for more art videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.